to the next episode of the Dumb Stuff We Like podcast with Brian and Chris.
Hey, I'm back. I almost said welcome back. We already did that. I'm back. We're back.
Back, baby.
We're back.
Baby. Yeah. This week,
The prequels are bad movies. It doesn't matter.
We're in a new year now.
All the Star Wars prequels are bad. Just get that. I gotta get it out before we start. They're bad movies. Don't at me. You can come. I will put my address on this video right the hell now.
Through you, my son.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the movies are good. I said that they're a better trilogy of movies.
They're bad. They're not a
these
better
movies.
trilogy. Star Wars, folks. We're talking about Star Wars.
The Insidious trilogy of movies. Fucking garbage.
I'm sorry, what?
Insidious.
Why are you talking about
No,
those movies?
I'm just saying, like, you can have a trilogy of movies that aren't good.
Yeah, I'm not. What?
And
That's not the argument.
And you can rank them. And
Yeah.
I'm saying
That's not the argument.
Prequel trilogy of movies
Are bad.
is better than the sequel trilogy.
No, they're
of
not.
movies.
No, they're not. Folks, tell him how wrong he is.
I mean, the sequel trilogy does amazing things with the Force that I fucking love. Like when second movie Luke Force projection, it was great.
Nope.
It was a great thing to witness. Okay? I was literally in there like, holy shit, these guys have gone crazy. And fucking the last movie. I mean, we're gonna spoil the shit out of it, so yeah, that's where we're going in. When Rey shot lightning out of her hand, I was just like, I know people who can't do lightning. Like Darth Maul couldn't do lightning in all his training and shit, but Rey just did it on accident, whatever. But I was still like, oh my god, that's amazing. I mean, I didn't process till that it was supposed to affect Chewie in some way, even though it didn't. Like I didn't process that initially, and they said Chewie's dead. I was like, Chewie ain't dead because that was unceremonious as shit, and he wasn't. So I was like, yeah, you can't fool me, movie man. I'm smarter than that. But yeah, that was great. Okay, they took it out the window with Palpatine shooting lightning up and fucking disabling just all the other side ships. They kind of threw it out the window. Him draining them, I was on board with. I was like, oh my god, him hitting the lightning. I was like, this man is too powerful. Realistically, it's wild. It's real wild. I need to update the episode title of this. But, yeah.
You make your point. You're saying a bunch of, like,
I think that's
butt statements. You're saying a bunch of...
I liked that happened in these movies. That don't make them good movies.
I never said they're...
Or that doesn't make them good movies, so it doesn't make them better than the other movies, which had, like, events you could follow and flow and stuff.
Nope, it doesn't matter.
They told a story.
Nope, just because a story's being told does not make it better.
I was saying, and a lot of people even are like, oh, hey, looking at the movies, like, everyone dislikes, Last Jedi so much, they're like, oh, they're just undoing all this stuff in this movie. It's like, no, they're not undoing any of it. Like, none of it gets undone. It's just explained. Like, things that happen that are explained. Like, you wrap up a lot of stuff in 8, and then you have to go places in 9. It's like, oh, it says her parents are nobody. So technically, she says her parents are nobody, and they realistically were. I mean, just because your dad is somebody doesn't make you somebody. Fucking, that's not how reality works, realistically. I mean, so I'm saying that movies are even more cohesive than people want them to be or believe them to be, but they're not a better trilogy of movies.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong. The sequel is a better trilogy. Objectively, it is a better trilogy.
No.
On all accounts, it's a better trilogy.
No.
It has better characters, has better acting, has better directing, has better CG,
Adam Driver,
has better...
Adam Driver was so much a better actor. Like, watching the movies, I didn't realize how good of an actor Adam Driver was. He was so good. Like, it was like, assessing, like, watching scenes, I'm like, holy shit, Adam Driver's fucking...
Yeah, he basically... Did you hear what happened?
No.
He had to get surgery for his back. Because he was carrying all those goddamn movies so hard.
I'd say I need to watch. I really need to watch through at least The Force Awakens.
What you need to do is go watch the prequels again. Because
I'll watch the prequels again.
No, go watch them again. They are objectively bad movies. It doesn't matter, trilogy or otherwise. They're not good. Just because you understand them and they tell a story that makes sense all the way through does not make them better movies. These movies are still better by and far. You get to see more stuff happen.
No, that you see what you're separating what I'm saying. The movies, the prequel trilogy of movies together, collective, like all of them together, not in no individual movie withstanding, are a better collective.
No, they're not.
Than the sequel trilogy.
No, that doesn't even make sense.
That's
what you're saying doesn't even make sense, because if they're all individually bad, worse than the sequels, then together they would all together collectively they would still be bad in the sequels.
No,
that doesn't mathematically that doesn't even make sense. You can't be like all these things are worse than all of these movies individually, but collectively that doesn't even make sense.
That actually does.
No, it doesn't, man. If each of those movies are a 1, from 1 to 5, and then each of the sequels are a 2, from a 2 to 5, collectively that's still 6 versus 3.
But you're like, if you watching your movie in a vacuum, like you watching okay, no, okay, and this'll break this down. Watching Infinity War without having seen any of the other movies and not being a fan of Marvel, that movie is garbage.
No, it's not.
Because they don't introduce anyone.
No, it's still.
You don't know what the fuck is going on.
It's still not a bad movie.
It is.
No, it's not.
I know it is.
No, it's not.
Because I was there in the theater and that lady was like, that movie was garbage. And I was like,
that is
one.
That is first of all, that lady doesn't have any taste. Second of all, that movie has spectacle. It is a summer blockbuster, regardless of if you take the way.
But you build it on the 19 or 18 movies before that. You're invested.
No.
You're so invested. You can't separate.
I'm telling you right now. I sat with someone who hadn't watched it before, at my house. I had them sit down. No, this is before we watched the other ones. She saw Infinity War before she saw the other ones. I know it sounds nuts. I don't know why you would do it. And this lady who you heard in the movie theater is also crazy. That's a psychopath thing to do. But they still appreciated it for what it was, because it was still spectacle. It was still awesome to see all these characters do these things, even though she didn't understand half of what was going on. Just the fact that there was stuff happening. The characters were funny. The dialogue was funny. The way the characters interacted. We get a better payoff,
right? Because
when we get to see stuff like half of what makes me an idiot is 100% you. Like, that stuff is funnier to us. But it's still funny in the fact that there's stuff like, are you from Earth? No, I'm from Missouri. That's an Earth idiot. Like, stuff like that is still funny, regardless of if you understand what these characters are talking about.
I'm mad you quoted two Star-Lord lines in the middle from that whole movie.
I mean, there's tons of...
Most of those are Star-Lord lines.
Well, he has a lot of really good lines, okay, overall. So I told you to go right. Like, there's so many good lines in that movie.
Don't call it Plucky. We don't know what it
means. Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, yeah, he does have some nice ones.
I think even objectively, that movie... I think that's a bad example. But no, I still think as a trilogy, these movies these movies still stand better, just because there's still more exciting things happening. There's not the prequels are bogged down because of the fact that, like, there's no heart, there's no soul. There's no character for me to grab onto. Anakin should have been the character that held up those 3 movies together, as far as the heart, but they failed. And it wasn't Hayden Christensen's fault. He's actually a decent actor.
All right.
And it wasn't Obi-Wan's fault, because Ewan McGregor is awesome. But a lot of it has to do with the way the writing is. There was no heart in that movie. In those movies, because even the Jedi, like, the CGI doesn't help either, because everything's CGI. It kind of takes away from the feeling that things are more, like, they don't feel like they're there. And the CGI wasn't at the point, like, it wasn't so pushed to the point where, like, those characters felt real. They just felt...
You could have these whole worlds built.
Right, and then I think even I don't think the time frame either helps, because they wanted to do this prequel series to explain Anakin stuff, but a lot of the stuff that happened around those times are boring, even in the expanded universe. When they go out, they kind of don't talk about that snapshot of time if you go to the EU, prior to them getting erased. The EU always talked about stuff hundreds of years before. Like, the Jedi Council wasn't a thing that got expanded upon because it's boring. Like, overall, it's a boring concept to have these guys who are a peace council who just talk about pretty much nothing all day and sit around. Like, it's hard to write a story about that, and then a separatist like taxes and tariffs and trade wars. Like, none of that stuff lends itself to being easy to write a good story, so it makes it very boring. Now, it makes it an intricate story and it's detailed, and there's a lot of moving parts, and I think it's smart the way I know it sounds stupid. It's smart in the way it's written because Palpatine, right?
Right.
Palpatine's the only reason any of that stuff works.
Right.
But that doesn't make it a good movie.
And that's
I think it would have been a better book series, but it doesn't work in a movie form. I think that's the problem. That trilogy is boring as fuck. If you were to go back and watch them, if they released them as summer blockbusters, it would have been even worse. Those movies, they may have released the first one as a summer movie, but I mean now we're used to Star Wars coming out around Christmas time. But back then it was just like Phantom Menace hit, but like that movie is super boring, dude. Like go back and watch. There's so much like even like the transitions in that movie are weird. Like when they go from scene to scene and they do like the wipes, it doesn't make like I was like, what is going on? The Naboo whole thing, the Gungans, the droids, they're all there to serve a purpose, but a lot of that purpose is to make sure kids laugh. And it's not I don't think it makes it a good trilogy. I think objectively, collectively, they're not a good trilogy. At least they're not better than the sequels. And I have a lot of problems with the sequels. A lot. I don't really like the sequels, to be honest. I like the first movie, and that's it. But that first movie puts it so above the prequels. I think that movie alone, if you were to be like, oh, it's a collective trilogy, that movie it pushes that average up super high for the rest of the class.
And I think that's the part I separate. For me, the Force Awakens is like just a rehash of another movie. So to me, I don't give it any points for that. Like there are very few scenes in the first movie where I'm like, all right, like in that movie lives off nostalgia. Like it lives and breathes off it. When Han's on screen again, the Chewie, we're home. Like you and your heart lifts and stuff like that.
Yeah, but you could say the same thing.
I don't give the movie those points.
You could say the same thing about the prequels and the fact that there's nostalgia built into those movies too.
There's no this character walks on screen, the world freezes for a second while this character just stands here.
Yeah, there is Yoda.
No, not when you
yes,
see Yoda
the first time you see Yoda stepping out to fight Dooku, people lost their minds. Before,
but that was in the second movie.
Yeah,
they didn't start with that.
It was still in the
just
trilogy.
We're
talking about the trilogy collectively.
That's what I'm saying. Like in this movie, like this is the first movie. This is where you open up. This is like how
you bring people back
to the viewing audience.
Bring people back to the universe.
Hey guys, remember Star Wars? You know what I'm saying? Like that's what my friends like say when we're talking about like different things. Like this last movie was, hey guys, remember Star Wars? A lot, too much even. But like I don't give the movie points for hey guys, remember Star Wars.
I still think even if you take that away, there's scenes like the beginning, the opening of The Force Awakens is Poe having to get those plans right, and it's so the princess getting captured, right, and droid thing, but the difference is Kylo Ren shows up and immediately.
You supposed to speak? I'm supposed to speak. That movie started with that joke, and I was really like, "Oh, this is gonna be a comedy," and it wasn't.
I mean, well, I like.
But Poe, he starts the first two movies like that, realistically, and I'm like, I'll take that. I will take.
Poe is just a great character.
I think Poe starts in all three movies like with just jokes like that, like more
pretty
like,
much
realistically. I didn't put that together like right now, but like they do that. They carry that over.
But they show Kylo Ren like stopping that blaster bolt, and that was the moment for me in the first movie where I was like, holy crap.
That was hype as shit.
Yeah.
And then once they told the joke, and I was like, I thought I was about to get taken on a ride, like the ride of my life, and then it was fucking.
I mean, I still think it's
and I was like,
it's a decent movie. The way I see it too is like the original Star Wars trilogy was established what a summer blockbuster was. I think that was like the first really big like, this is what you do in the summertime. You release movies that are massive that people have to watch multiple times.
Right.
I think that was the beginning of summer blockbusters, the idea. And the prequels never hit like that. The prequels are a movie that you watch at home and you just watch and you go, okay. And you're like, those movies made sense. And like, that's it. Like, you're like, you sit there and you go, if you're really into the movies,
right,
then you go, wow, Palpatine is crazy. I think that's the most I could give it. Coming out of those the prequels, was mad respect for Palpatine. But if you don't look at it from the fact that these movies are Master Palpatine plan, then they suck. Like, they super suck. Because then the only character that you have to rely on to be like this like story is Anakin, and Anakin's written like so bad, just terrible. Especially like first movie, he's a child, so it's whatever. But the first movie is weird. Like it has a really dope lightsaber fight and pod racing, but even that is like, this is a great technical feat. But everything else, like, why is this child being allowed to do this? Why is this Jedi just being like tossing the die, like letting this happen, and like all of that, and then you realize like the Jedi are hella boring in the first movie. You're like, oh, we're establishing the Jedi are just like the most boring things in the universe, and that might be the case for Star Wars in general. I just don't think it's a good time period to have a movie. I guess people were clamoring, or he wanted to tell an Anakin Skywalker story, but I think it should have been a little bit more, not exciting, but I think to be honest, I think they should have went darker for an Anakin story. I think they should have went a little bit edgier, which is weird because I'm not into edgy stuff, but I think
dead children. Or what more?
No, I think just like just Anakin's
spousal abuse, dead children. I mean,
no, because the second movie wasn't like
the third movie.
When he goes around and kills all the younglings, and when he goes around and kills like all the sand people and stuff, those are like dark moments, but they don't come off as dark. They come off as kind of funny, and even now, like, they're memed because it's like, Master Anakin, what are we gonna do? And it's funny when you think about it because you're like, oh, that's so messed up. But it's not like dark. Like, there's other scenes in other movies that you see and you're like at the end of Infinity War, that stuff's not funny when all those characters get like iced, right? Like they just disappear and you're like, oh my god, and you feel it. But that's the thing, is the prequels don't have any heart, so it's so hard to feel anything when you watch those movies. Like,
it's not even that. It's like you're not, there's no other side. I mean, I guess like when you watch the movie, there is no other side. Like, you say you would be on the side of Obi-Wan, I guess.
Right. But that's a like side.
The movie's about Anakin, so when Anakin does this,
exactly.
This is gang.
It's a byproduct of the fact that Ewan McGregor is such a like awesome actor,
right,
that you like Obi-Wan. But those movies were never supposed to be Obi-Wan movies.
Right.
But they turn into those because he's so awesome as Obi-Wan. And you're like, Obi-Wan's fucking Batman of the Jedi, like, of the Jedi universe.
Right.
And then it becomes a good movie. Well, not even good. And then it becomes watchable.
Like, see, he said it.
But the sequel trilogies, they started off like exciting, and even if it's a carbon copy of A New Hope, it's still Star Wars. Like, it's still heart. It's like Rey's got heart. Finn, so much character and heart in the first movie, and then you still have Poe. You have Poe, who's like super like fun, and Kylo Ren, even though. Like, I would describe Kylo Ren as a character who has a lot of heart, just because you can feel when he has to kill Han Solo. Like, this is something he has to do. He didn't want to do it, and he did it. But you feel for all those characters in there, and then you want to see where the movie goes next. The prequels never felt like, and I never wanted to see where these characters are going to go next. I always kind of was like, when is Anakin going to become Darth Vader? Am I going to see anything cool with Darth Vader? And a lot of it was just like, nope, you're going to see a bunch of whining until the very end he'll become Darth Vader. I'm like, okay, like, I guess. I don't know. I think Rogue One is better than the prequels. I think Solo is better than prequels.
Rogue One's an alright movie in my eyes, like, better than Solo even, because
I don't know if it's better than Solo.
I know what's going to happen to these characters.
I don't think it. I don't.
Because it's like,
okay.
Or I know none of y'all are going to make it out of this, and that's okay. Like, how they have made movies and stuff like that, where it's like, oh hey, we're gonna do what is it, Solo? We're gonna have all you guys go on this run that you're not supposed to be able to do, but you lit one of the first things your character said in the original movie, that you did this thing. So the tension is non-existent. It's like, I know, like. And Solo lost so many points. That guy's like Han Solo.
That was too early in the movie for me, because then I was like, I'm done with this movie. Like, right. It's just started, and
it might as well have been a Michael Bay Transformers. It was all the way dead.
I think now that I think about it too, I think the prequels are very mechanical. Like, not
Yeah.
into not being
I
hard
mean,
because
this
you're
is-
like it's George Lucas made them so that to tell an origin story, but he forgot about the characters. Like that's what it feels like.
So, I
Like-
mean, there's a lot of parts you get to see, like, when you're watching the movies and, like, really paying attention to the characters themselves, like, acting, especially between 2 and 3, is, like, you get to, like, see how the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan has matured over time. First, when Anakin's a young hothead doing his thing, to when he, like, gets to the point in 3, like, it starts off, like, them flying the ships and, like, landing, like, where he respects his master. Like, we've come a long way. You used to be like, oh, he's just jealous of me because I'm cool. It's like, no. Like, I mean, in Anakin, even in that movie, he's a fucking teenager. Teenagers are the worst. Literally, the worst. Like, kids are annoying, but teenagers are the worst. so, I mean, and that was not a teenage love story. That might have been Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
The worst.
I mean,
so that's what that movie's about. So it's just bad. So that doesn't help that movie. But you get to see how these characters have from young Anakin, yippee, Anakin to I'm murdering younglings now, Anakin, like how he has developed, and even fucking Hayden Christensen in the movie, like the non-verbals from Hayden Christensen in the third movie, like about him finding out Padme is pregnant. You like watch that scene, like you look at him, like how like the elation in his eyes when you're looking at him, to like the change to realizing, oh shit, Padme is pregnant. I'm totally not supposed to be doing this. Like all that passes through. You can see that in his acting, like not unlike Adam Driver in the second movie, eighth movie, realistically, where he's like talking to Rey about joining him. Like it's there. Like I was like, holy shit, what was I watching the first time? Because this is crazy. It's like I missed this the first time I watched the movie because it's like, yeah, you look at it and Adam Driver's there. And I'm like, holy shit, I didn't know this could act like this, and I've seen this movie before. It's like it's crazy when you look at it separately, because that's another thing too. Like people are hating on Hayden Christensen, like in the big Star Wars series. Star Wars has the most toxic fans.
Yeah,
of
agreed.
anything. Fuck.
Agreed.
I mean, Star Trek Discovery came out, and Star Wars fans are still worse. Like, there's probably no property with worse fans than Star Wars.
I would agree with that.
But I'm still a Star Wars fan. Like, I don't understand like what you have. Like, you're upset of some actor who did their job, and there's a director, someone who wrote the script. Someone told this person what to do, and you hate them for doing it. I don't know how we're supposed to balance it out realistically. But I mean, yeah. I mean, you can have Kathleen Kennedy, I guess, and for like saying slick shit that she says. I mean, but they said this outside of the thing. This person just did their job, and you're upset. I don't know. But yeah. I mean, that's still like they're in the movies when you're following the characters. Like there is. You don't feel like the regression of characters or that their stories get dropped realistically. I mean, Obi-Wan's story is just about him being Anakin's master and his closest friend, really. That's just what his story is. So it's like he may not have like a lot of extravagant stuff happening and that type of thing, but this is just what it's about. Representing a character you see later in the movie who lost basically his best friend, his brother, to the dark side. Realistically, and you see like their relationship is the part that you're looking for in the story. That's what it's about. Really, I'm really going to talk about it, and they represent that. They show it well on film, like with them two interacting. I mean, that doesn't mean like every line of dialogue that they say between the two characters is the greatest thing to happen to cinema, but it's like you can see the relationship there. You can witness it. Like,
I think it's told. I think it's told to you that these guys have a relationship, and then you just buy it. I don't think until the end of that trilogy, then you realize that these guys are brothers, because literally they say, "You were my brother," and that's like, we get to see them interact, but I don't think the feeling of them being very close is there. It's there in the Clone Wars series. If you watch the Clone Wars series, you get so much more because it's written by someone who understands character writing.
Right.
The prequels don't practice character writing. They practice story elements. But I don't think you should sacrifice character for story. I think that's where my difference is with the prequels.
Yeah.
So
Or-
that's probably, if I had to give a reason, that's probably why I like the sequels better. I don't think the sequels are good, or I mean maybe they're serviceable, but I think that the characters at least are written. They had arcs. Whatever happened to them is one thing, but they're characters that I kind of care about. I care about what happens with Rey. I care about what happens with Kylo Ren. I care about what happens in Finn and Poe. Regardless if they do anything, they still established those characters, their relationships. They made you feel something. There was some weird stuff with like some of their interactions, like why Rey and Leia they got along so well, like out of nowhere. That stuff didn't make any sense, but they still made you attached to the characters, at least in the first movie. And in the second movie, they expounded upon like they reestablished who Luke was, and then you got to be like, I like this guy, like, you know, and like all that stuff. You kind of get invested in the characters, and you believe in their relationships. You believe in the characters themselves.
Right.
And the sequels never had that. The sequels always were just like, I know it's going to be at the end, so let me see how it works, you know? And I maybe that's another problem, but I don't think that, it feels like it was just like a CGI fest to show off that we could do it, but nobody asked if we should. Like, everybody was like, yeah, we could do it, but nobody asked if we should. And I feel like that kind of sums up the prequels for me. It's like, I don't think they're a good. I think they're boring. I fall asleep watching the prequels, and the sequels. I'll at least stay awake until Canto Bight, and then I'll wake back up after. But we can beg to disagree. Beg to
about,
differ.
Like, different disagreements in movies. Like, I'm not falling asleep during no movie. Realistically, that I'm one paying to see. Or, I mean, only movies like I fall asleep during, like, that I remember realistically is Quantum of Solace. Quantum of Solace is fucking terrible.
Oh, I fell asleep during King Kong because it's a 4-hour movie.
I watched that movie a second time and I was like, I went to watch it a first time and realizing it was the second time I had seen it, and I didn't see it then either. So it was like, yeah, this movie is not good.
Well, we spent a lot of time talking about which one is better, and I guess that's what ended up being kind of our topic today. We have some other stuff we're going to talk about, but I did want to talk about some news before I got heated.
I was bringing this in. You jumped on it.
So today's topic is we talk about Star Wars Episode 9. Subtitled, checking my watch periodically to see when this movie is over. But we do have a few quick things in news that I'm just going to burn through real quick. And then I'm going to let Brian kind of lead us through the Star Wars discussion. But for the news, New Mutants, the trailer dropped this past week.
Hype.
And we both saw it. And I liked the trailer. You liked the trailer, right?
Definitely. Showing, like, especially, like, the powers. Wolfsbane, like
turning into an actual wolf. I mean, that's cool.
I watched, for anyone who was a child around the early 2000s, X-Men Evolution came out, Wolfsbane, the character. Anybody who played Marvel Heroes, Omega, I guess, was like the last version of it, like showing like the different characters. I don't think some of those characters weren't in it, but specifically Magik, who is supposed to be Colossus's sister.
Yes.
Like her power, like her like actually creating like her sword in her hand and stuff like that. Me seeing that, I was like, okay, I'm in. I'm you son of a bitch. I'm in. You know what I'm saying? I was down for that because I knew like her character was supposed to be in it, but they had shown that one trailer a long time ago, and then I was like, I got none of this. And then like you see more that there is a movie here. This isn't some tension fest for the sake of being a tension fest. There are people, they have powers, things are happening. Okay.
Yeah.
Like that's definitely what I was getting out of it. I'm pretty sure that on guy is supposed to be Sunspot. And
yes. Sunspot, and there's a character who can vibrate, and it makes him be able to fly or something.
There may be shoot, is it Havoc? It's not Havoc.
No,
it's not Havoc. It's another character. He was in First Class actually.
No,
sure.
it's no.
It's not the same character.
You're talking about Banshee. Banshee could scream.
No, he's like shots on his chest.
No, that's Havoc.
Or they changed Havoc then from the comics. Havoc used to shoot bullets out of his hands, and that's why I thought this character was him.
There's two. Cyclops has two brothers. One does one through his chest, and one does one through his hands. And Cyclops does it through his eyes. Concussive blast.
Two brothers.
He's got two brothers. Cyclops, and then there's Havoc, and then there's another brother that I forget.
Oh, really?
But he's got two brothers.
Oh.
But
I didn't know that.
no, this is a different character. He's supposedly unstoppable once he starts like flying. I don't know. I was like, it's the Juggernaut he flies. Like it's very confusing.
Okay, I think then I know. Then his character is in X-Men Evolution as well. Because there's a character like that where he like they have a thing where they're playing football and he like does the power and like flies through a wall, and just like breaks stuff up. Yeah, he's
That's probably what it is. And then yeah, so the trailers look good, and there's a character who can like make your worst fears kind of come to life, basically Pennywise. But I think there's a plot here from what it looks like. In the last trailer we saw was over a year ago, so it's good to see that this movie will finally come out. I'm sure that everybody who worked on it is very happy that it's going to come out.
Daniel Moonstar, Mirage.
Now the biggest thing to see is whether the X-Men, Fox X-Men series will end on a whimper or will end on a hey that wasn't too bad. Because if we had to leave it at the last movie, it ended on a sour note. To be honest, yeah. Phoenix is a terrible movie, so I hope that this movie can at least do better than Phoenix. You saw Phoenix?
No.
You didn't?
No.
It's bad.
I've seen, I think, everything wrong with it. So, I mean, that's
whack.
Thankfully seen it for me.
But yeah. So that's cool. It came out Monday. It looks awesome. Another bit of news. So for Marvel, some more Marvel news. The Moon Knight series. There's some rumors been going around. So we kind of already heard that a character called Werewolf by Night, which is such a weird name. Like, it's I guess they're trying to get around certain copyright. So the character's whole name is a pimp named Slickback. It's a werewolf at night. Say the whole thing. You can't say just a werewolf.
You know what I'm saying?
He's a werewolf at night. It's a werewolf style character, and along with him will be coming Dracula, I guess, who's supposed to be stalking Moon Knight in the series, or I guess in the shadows. So maybe he'll be like the big bad for season 2 or whatever, or the overarching bad guy.
Situation for Jessica Jones.
Right. So, but it's kind of cool because I didn't really expect Moon Knight to be the series to introduce like these Universal monsters, like
effectively
the dark universe.
If they're his villains, I mean, in comics, I'm not sure.
I don't read enough Moon Knight. I think at this point people know a lot about Moon Knight just because everybody's been reading the wiki. And it's like, this is such a strange character. He looks weird.
Joking.
Yeah. But I'm excited. I mean, realistically, I'm excited for any news I'm going to hear about Moon Knight just because of all the possibilities for such a character. And then on top of that, anything that has to do with those kind of monsters, you always have the inkling of Blade showing up because Blade deals with all those monsters. And that being said, Dracula is supposedly going to kind of be the link to Blade. So we either will get some Blade cameos or we'll get mention, which will be cool.
The Daywalker.
Because that's going to... I'm really excited for Blade. And then Doctor Strange itself is... that one's... The next movie is called the... multiverse of horror or something of terror. So it was supposedly set up as not a horror movie, but it's got a lot of like scares in it and stuff like that because it's Doctor Strange going through all these different multiverses. I think when they said horror, I think they meant more of like, you know how like Rick and Morty have a bunch of like weird alternate universes?
Madness.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more like a bunch of different multiverses where things are just more chaotic.
Right.
So that's kind of the horror, I guess, aspect of it. But with that, we also get more supernatural characters. And I'm kind of hoping for a Ghost Rider, Mephisto, or Blackheart cameo. I think we're due for a Mephisto show up in Marvel, which would be mind-blowing because he's literally like just Satan, which is just nuts to think that they have a character like that and then we're going to introduce him. I mean, we got Hela. So
gotta play with Surtur a little bit.
Yeah, Surtur was. I mean, I think when you leave things in Asgard, people can just chalk it up to like it's a space monster.
Right.
But like here, it's like he's going to Mephisto's always dealt in like literal hell. So with demons, so it would be interesting to see if he pops up. And then we also have the Birds of Prey. Ooh, I can't talk. Trailer dropped, and that showed off some action this time. Also showed off some drug use, which is always cool for a movie. And then we also had some jokes, and Black Mask dons his black mask. So it looks like a decent trailer.
I don't know why people like watching trailers. It's so like wild. It's like the character's name is Black Mask. Like him putting on a black mask was obvious. Like it was going to happen. Like What did you expect? Oh, my name is character the Green Arrow. He's not, and he's gonna be out here shooting blue guns, like, cause that's what I'm gonna do. His name is so on the nose. I'm just gonna subvert your expectations.
I
like
mean,
that. Come on.
well, the problem is that DC has done stuff like this before.
Other Doomsday, oh Jesus Christ.
They've done stuff where they've been like, this is a character, and then it's been like, but where's his iconic thing? It's like, no, that's just his like code name. Like,
other than Doomsday, who?
Lex Luthor really didn't like come across as a Lex Luthor.
He's Lex Jr.
He was written like a 2019 version of.
Hey, he's Lex Jr. Realistically, like how New 52 like takes.
Nobody knows who Lex Jr. is though.
That's what I'm saying. People don't know shit. And that's my problem.
No, that's not the problem. The problem is that not that people don't know shit. That's not a problem.
That's what I'm saying. Like how you make Man of Steel, but you're not like, this isn't the Hope Superman that I remember, and then you get Lex and say, this isn't the Lex I remember. It's like, exactly. These aren't those characters. This isn't Hope Superman.
Here's the thing, though. You can't take a character, call him Lex Luthor, and then make him not Lex Luthor and make him Lex Jr.
Jr. That's what I'm saying. His name is the name in the comic books. He's the guy. He's Lex Luthor, but he's Lex Jr. It's different. I mean, some people don't play their junior. I'm Brian Lavelle Ricks II. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just Brian Ricks.
No, dude. It was Lex Luthor. His father's name is Lionel in the comics. Lex Luthor Jr. is Lex Luthor's son, who doesn't even exist in the mainline story.
In mainline story in these movies, he does. Because
Bro, shut up. No, you're wrong on this one.
That and fucking Batman's killing people. A lot of things have happened.
Look, yes, we all know BVS is a nightmare. But still, my thing is like...
And that's where you get Lex.
My thing is they have had set precedent for them introducing characters and then those characters not really being what their namesake would be. Or something completely different. I think they also had to win fans back because of Suicide Squad. Because they introduced the version of Joker. And like, yeah, he was Joker. But man, was it a weird version of Joker.
I mean,
and I think that's what made them nervous, where people were like, that's not my Joker. And it's like, okay, whatever, right? So we'll show you Black Mask with a black mask and people will shut up. Plus, Black Mask is a character who doesn't like his mask doesn't really come into play with, like, it doesn't like make him a supervillain. He's a mob boss.
Right.
Who calls himself Black Mask because he wears black mask.
Right.
And that's the end of that. That's
what I'm saying. Like, he calls himself this because he wears one, which means all he has to do is put on a black. That's not a hard concept to grasp.
No, it's not.
Like, people fucking nutting themselves in this trailer.
Yeah, but people will do that.
On a black mask. I'm like, I can put on a black mask. Fuck. Like, that's not. That's like, look at the character and see, is he acting? Or maybe even like Lex, like, is he acting like you expect their character to act? Is he the guy? Like, Lex was still like leader of LexCorp, whatever, doing whatever he was doing. So he had at least that. You'd be like, it'd be different if you were like, oh, Black Mask instead of some homeless dude or some shit. And I'm like, fuck.
It's always gonna be like that though. People are gonna, because people want to.
Is he filling the role that this
people
guy
are still
filled?
People want to see Batman in the bat suit. Like, it's gonna.
Yeah.
There's pictures online. They're like, is this Robert Pattinson in a Batman suit? And it's just like, he's gonna be in the suit eventually. You'll see him. Like,
right.
he's Batman.
He's Batman.
And it's just, I mean, it's gonna happen. People just like seeing stuff that they already know. It's just the law of the universe.
People like
Spider-Man in a Spider-Man costume, and people lose their mind. Like, I mean, he eventually has gonna be in that.
Right.
It's movie's called Spider-Man.
The suit on.
It's weird.
Eventually.
But
even though people are fucking hating on like the. Not even like the iron. They're hating on like all the suits. I guess extends like the pajamas, the underoos suit. That's the only thing I haven't seen like people give shit about. And I guess the last suit, the black advanced.
Spider Monkey.
No, the last one is the one he makes himself.
Oh,
like,
the Alex Ross.
Shit about that.
I think it's called. Well, I call it the Alex Ross suit because it looks like Alex Ross's version, one of the artists.
Yeah, I mean, because people give like weird things shit.
I mean,
like,
well, the thing was like leading up to the trailer drop, people were like, "Is this Black Mask in the background?" Because it's got a black mask. It's like, and it's like the lowest resolution. So like people are just grasping for anything. I mean, the trailers.
And I'm still like, for me, watching like the trailer like as a whole, I was like, I guess we're back to this side of the DC universe again.
I can't stop thinking about how many people are going to be dressed up as that version of Harley Quinn
Fuck.
with the yellow jumper.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So,
people idolizing characters for the wrong reasons. Is hey,
100%, bro.
one, that, two, like.
But on the flip side, people idolize Batman, who's also a nuts, like a crazy character.
Batman has a code, though, at least. At the very minimum.
Yeah.
I mean, not the Batman we got in BS.
He's still, but he's still an insane person. Like,
right, he's crazy.
Legitimately.
Shit. He's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. You know what I'm saying? It's wild. Realistically, but yeah. I mean, at least he has, like, I'm not here killing nobody. At least he stops at that. He will.
What
break
version? Not
every
my
bone
version.
in
My
your
version kills people with bullets.
Right.
And slams cars and other cars. That's
what
my
I'm saying.
version.
He does a BVS, but I mean, like, he's before that. You're like, Batman does it. He doesn't like guns.
What are you talking about? What version of Batman are you talking about?
People. You know what I'm saying? He will break every bone in your body, but it won't kill you. You know what I'm saying? He'll try not to anyway.
Sure.
And then BVS happened is like, shh. He will break every bone. He will shoot every bone in your body.
shoot every bone.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? But so I'm still like, my connection with this movie is minimal.
Same.
But I mean, but it still could be good. I mean, I remember enjoying Wonder Woman. I don't think it's like because like my separation from the characters like that. It could still be good. I mean, Wonder Woman was still one of the.
Well,
best
I like that
early
Huntress
DCEU movie.
and Cassandra Cain are in the movie. Cassandra Cain becomes a version of Batman later in one of the comic lines. She's like, her suit to me is the best Batman looking suit. It's a full mask, and it's got a yellow bordered Batman symbol, and it's a Batgirl costume, but it's just like, it looks like the most ninja Batman costume they've ever made. And she's like kind of a trained assassin in the comics. It's just a cooler version of it's like Damian Wayne, but like a girl version. Without all the hot-headedness.
Or just
Cassandra Cain? I can't remember where she comes from, but she becomes a version of Batman, not a Robin, but a version of Batgirl or something like that. But I would go do some research. She's a at least aesthetically is an interesting character. But Huntress is also in the movie, which I've never seen in like that capacity, like live action, whether it's TV show or not.
Right.
And she might be in one of the shows, like Arrow.
I think she might be in there.
Or Flash, but or maybe even showed up in Smallville.
Them, like,
she did show up in Smallville, I think. But in any case, Black Canary's in the movie. Well, Canary, yellow canary, regular canary, canary.
All right, I'm laughing right now because we were talking about Aquaman. It's like, oh yeah, your granddaddy, Scourge of the Deep. They call it the Black Manta. He's like,
wouldn't you just call him the Manta? But no, because why? Well, your granddaddy was black, so don't you think that's a little racist, Dad? I don't see the problem.
Oh shit! And Black Canary in this movie is the one.
Is anybody just running around here with the name Manta? Well, no, it's an animal. So why do we gotta be Black Manta? Why can't we just be Manta?
Or Manta Ray? Isn't Manta Ray somebody?
Yeah, he's a character from SpongeBob.
Oh, there you go. But he ain't Black Manta. No, fucking shit.
And then the last little bit of news is DBZ Kakarot is releasing 17 January. That was just like little video game news. And then Warcraft 3 Reforged, which is just Warcraft 3 with a updated UI skin and everything, is coming out sometime this month as well. So I think people would be playing Warcraft 3 again just to mod it like the original.
Do wild stuff. Updated game, updated engines, and all that type of stuff.
I'll definitely be playing DBZ Kakarot. So
I'll have to check it out. Definitely. I wasn't really planning on it in the beginning, but I might check it out. I mean, I own Xenoverse 1. I don't think I played Xenoverse 2. There's like a lot of stuff going on in that game.
I played both of those, and I played Legend of Goku.
I'm not sure how
or Legacy of Goku.
Kakarot goes though.
It goes all the way through the Buu Saga.
I need to go.
They showed trailers all the way through the Buu Saga.
And further beyond.
Yeah. So that was it for the news, and then, I mean, where are we at on time? What are we doing on time right now?
45 minutes.
We were at 45, so we got 15 minutes to talk about. Well, we talked about Star Wars for a bit already, but I don't even know if I want to get into it because
we can split now into what our actual topic is supposed to be like. How would you fix it?
Kind of. I feel like I'm not gonna have enough time.
Like, I would really fix the prequels because it was a solid concept, but I would fix these movies.
I would fix the prequels. I would fix the prequels by not making them exist. How about that? I'd fix the timeline.
Let the hate
Unless
filter you.
unless the only way to get the Marvel movies are 1 in 14 million was to have the prequels get created.
Damn, that's wild.
That's the timeline.
That's
Also,
wild stuff.
considering that, what if the only way to get the Infinity War and Endgame was to have Donald Trump elected as president? Would you still take these movies?
I don't really need to fuck with the timeline. Only thing I'd mess with the timeline to get is the Superman Lives, the Nick Cage Superman movie. Whatever I need to change the universe.
I don't want to watch that movie.
Just because that would be fuck. That man, that's worth everything else.
I don't think so.
I'd exchange all of it for that, just to witness that.
What did it cost?
What
Everything.
did it cost you? Did you get what you wanted? Yeah. What did it cost you?
Everything.
Everything. Hey, fuck. There's a universe who got that though. I hope Doctor Strange shows the universe that got to watch.
Oh man, I'm so excited for that movie though.
Tim Burton, Nicolas Cage.
No, I don't like Tim Burton, bro. I don't.
No, I'm not saying the movie was going to be this amazing thing to cinema. It was going to be fucking terrible. But I need it. The Room, dude, no. The Room doesn't exist in this universe because this movie came out in fucking... They didn't even... Whoever was going to give The Room money was like, no, fuck that. The universe can't survive both of you.
Well, we only got 15 minutes, so we can try to break it down. But let's give a hard cutoff.
Or even... We can do like more concepts, not like realistically like, oh hey, this is when this happens type of stuff, like concept things you would add or expand upon or remove other than like places. I mean, no one wants Candle Bite. We're fucking good at that. Someone had to fucking mention that. And then the fucking chase is just those two things just fuck up the pacing of the second movie. Realistically, it just they just broke with the pacing at levels that you really can't make a movie around that. It's just not feasible realistically.
Let's go with things we'd add then first.
A full on I guess it's two things, but they're at a level connected.
Okay.
I keep the first movie the same. Yeah, we've established that.
Yeah.
Keep the first movie the same.
Agreed.
But adjust move, what is it? Finn meeting other stormtroopers who defected effectively a movie earlier.
Yes.
Doing more with that. Moving that earlier in the story and then allowing more to happen with that. Like let the have the resistance winning.
Let that be his arc.
Right. Yeah. I mean that's realistically like him not wanting to be responsible for the deaths of people in the first movie, but being responsible for the lives and like taking care of people going forward. Like show him developing as a leader instead of someone who was just afraid and ran away in the first movie. I mean, he switched sides and gets to be a hero, but show him being a hero to others. Like, leading from the front. I mean, they meme him as being a hero to Rose in the second movie, effectively, but
it's just played off as a joke.
Allow that to actually come to fruition. Him leading stormtroopers that defect, and then you have a lot more defections happen across like the thing, so the resistance ends up winning. So if you win and if you introduce Palpatine again and all his ships and troops and stuff like that, there's a real reason for that, because the First Order is losing. And so it's like that's why Kylo Ren is looking for this, and not necessarily Palpatine send his voice out or whatever shit happened in Fortnite, but it's just like him like finding this thing like that he needs to find to get him to Exegol, and then like Palpatine being there. He's like, what the fuck? Like, hey, what are you doing here? They're saying they're Spider-Man at each other. Hey, you, what are you doing here? but it's like, yeah, that there's a real reason for that to happen other than I heard him in Fortnite, so I gotta go find him.
God. Yeah, no, I agree. I think those two things were wonderful additions. I think adding in probably in the second movie, expanding on the whole Luke and Kylo Ren thing, other than the Kylo Ren flashback that you get, and other than the Luke flashback, which accounts for maybe 5 minutes total. I think you need to expand on his like school a little bit, show us a little bit more of that, and then you can work in the Knights of Ren from there as well, to give them a little bit more significance, other than we just put these guys in the movie so that Kylo Ren can have a cool fight at the end, because you already had a cool fight in the second movie with a bunch of guys ganging up on him who were essentially just red versions of the Knights of Ren.
Bro, I was like, was that?
It's
that wasn't Knights of Ren? Oh shit!
It's
real?
the same fight.
For real? you was really like, I mean, in even that scene in the second movie, switch those people to the Knights of Ren.
Yes.
You can him and Kylo Ren and Rey's interactions in the second movie are perfect.
They're so much better.
Other than adjusting those guys in red to being the Knights of Ren.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, like that, you lose that in the third movie or whatever. You just switch whatever the fuck's going on. But it's like, that's why, like, Rey has heard about the Knights of Ren and all this stuff. And him fighting them because he turned on Snoke
right.
is like a reason for her to think that maybe he's not bad anymore. Like, more than just these guys were in the room and they wanted to fight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's like your reason for fighting together.
Right.
Is a real reason. Because that realistically they're not counted as Sith, but in the Sith order of things, he did what he was supposed to do. His master was slipping, and he killed him. That wasn't supposed to be a fight after that. That was it. Like it was over. I mean, though I guess they kind of wanted to fight because Rey had a lightsaber in her hand. I don't know.
It's
like,
not clear.
I don't
Those
know.
characters could have been robots. Like,
right.
It doesn't really matter. But, yeah, I think that works better. I think and the reason I want the flashback so bad isn't because I want their story fleshed out, but because I want that fight to mean something in the fact that, like, you show them as being almost, like, worshiping Kylo Ren or being, like, so admiring of him as their leader.
Right.
That when he turns, it means that much more, or it shows how much farther he's willing to do to get that level of power.
Right.
What it means turning on his people or whatever you want to call them. And it also shows them why they're so badass in the fact that this fight would be so hard for these. It would show us, one, how far Rey has gotten.
Right.
Whether or not people like the fact that she's like...
That's...
Like,
you said the second movie further along. The chase and all that bullshit isn't my thing, so the movies are further along. Fuck. I mean, that's like the really like shitty part about the first movie, realistically, is you end with Rey handing the lightsaber to Luke. So, and you can't skip their first bits of conversation. You can't. You have to talk about this.
Yeah.
But then you also like, okay, so how do I get Rey lightsaber training and stuff? Unless you like really skip time in the movie. You'd have to like have this talk and then 4 or 5 months later, like really you'd have to do these things.
And I think you could
play that game.
I think you could work in like the time expanding or dilating a little bit just based off of like Kylo Ren is looking for the holocron or whatever they ended up calling it.
Yeah,
the map.
I forget what they call
it. Yeah, to go find Palpatine, right? And you work that bit in, and I think you swap Snoke out for Palpatine, in the fact that like the Knights of Ren are with Palpatine, and Kylo and Rey end up meeting to go fight him. They're both drawn there, or after Rey has had her training with Luke, and they do their whole thing, right? And finds everything out that she feels like she needs to find out. Then she dipsets because Palpatine's like raising this army out here, and now her friends has got to go fight it, and she goes to kind of save them. I mean, It is a rehash of Episode 5, but I mean, if it ain't broke, and these, it's
you realistically can. You're moving. You move enough events around where let's say like when if the Resistance is winning, Kylo Ren finds Palpatine, whatever, and like they are almost like they're looking for Luke so who can defeat Kylo Ren. It's like we can fight these ships all day, but none of us have Kylo Ren. None of us stand a chance against this guy. Period. That's just not something we can do. So we need Luke to at least handle this part. Like, we need you at least to do this. Like, we don't need you to come down and show up and be like, oh, yeah, I got it. We need you to just handle this one dude. Because this one dude is sauced, and there's nothing we can really do about that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even though Leia should have been able to do something about it, but we're not getting all that. Considering Leia had a lightsaber, all that stuff. It's her son, I guess.
I think...
But...
I think the other thing that works better too is like, yeah, it could be like the fifth movie, but the thing is you move stuff so much faster where the Emperor gets killed in this second movie, right? And then Kylo Ren, instead of turning to the good guys like Darth Vader did to kill Palpatine, he just becomes hella evil. Like he's like, I did it. This was my goal. I hit my goal. Now I'm the dude. And like, that's it. And then that even subverts expectations because you're like, oh, he's not going to come back to the good side. Like, Isn't that what happens though? Isn't that what happens all that, guys?
And I think that them turning to the dark side is so much, or turning from the dark to the light is such a Star Wars thing.
Yeah,
like,
that's probably
that
why.
wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing about that is like them defeating Palpatine together or whatever. But him like going bad like is just so, at least outside of Star Wars that you've been told, that's just outside of that. Anakin really is basically disobeys the Jedi code, and falls because he's trying to save Padme, but he's corrupted to the point where he's beyond that now. He's like, or realistically, Padme brought Obi-Wan there. He just brought him here to kill me. He's paranoid and stuff like that. So it's like, it's really where that situation is like well beyond his control, and like the things that were happening so fast.
But I think like if you want to subvert expectations, if you want to pull a like I'm your father type moment that is Star Wars, so iconic with Star Wars that they try to hang their hat on it in this trilogy so hard with Rey, like who's her parents, like
you want to ball like all the way out of control. I mean, you can do the reveal that she's a Palpatine, whatever. Second movie, them kill him, and then you let Kylo Ren win in the third movie as the bad guy, ball all the way out.
Maybe I don't think I'm on board with that.
You ball the Rise of Skywalker, my guy, ball all the way out.
I don't know. I think you get to the point where like they have to like put him down, or like he does something to where like he ends up dying, right? Whether he gets out of control or
the Palpatine
whatever.
kill his mom, him come back to the light, Rey fall to the dark, and him redeem her. There you go.
Maybe that might be too much. I'd be kind of like
so many movies.
I'd be kind of like I'm tired. I'm about to throw up. Like, this ride's got too many loops. Get me off. Like I'm done. I'm never coming back to this park ever again.
What?
But I mean, really, Star Wars Episode 9 was a lot of loops. It was like 4 fake outs. Like, oh, Chewbacca dead. Like that? And it's like, just kidding. It's like, oh, C-3PO dead because we wipe his memory? It's like, we did that before. And he's fine now. And also, R2-D2 could just like, R2-D2 can just R2-D2 this situation out of control. Like, well, I wiped my memory. No, you didn't.
Say, hey, I'm the best friend. What, you call me your best friend? It's like, I never met you before. I'm like, so you lose your memory again, dude? Like, R2's really like, again? How many times you look at people I remember, bro?
Yeah. And then we get the Rey fake out, and then we get technically the Palpatine fake out is the biggest fake out of the century.
Oh my, the Rey being the evil Rey, like literally trailer bait.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That was like, the character didn't even like move. It did that move, and that was it. There was nothing else. There was no other footage.
Like, what's the point of having a lightsaber next to another lightsaber so close?
I mean, I understand carrying, especially if you had lightsabers long. There are characters in other Star Wars content who have lightsabers like that fold, because they are so long that it hanging from it's as long as your leg. There's no point.
But why would you leave it like?
I mean, because you can. Realistically, because you really.
Sure.
I mean, it's space magic. I ain't gotta explain.
Okay.
Shit. Realistically.
But I mean, that's how I'd fix it. I think we might be at time, but I think that's a better. It's a more interesting. The story flows a lot better that way. So.
I mean, yeah. I mean, see, realistically, and I guess the thing we didn't even address Poe.
Poe is it's too hard. Like because I don't know how to write movies.
Right. I'm not a writer.
I can only fix things that have already been made by somebody through blood, sweat, and tears. Right. And I have my 2 cents in my house.
They did 100 hours of work, and
I sit in a movie and go, this movie sucks, and I could have done it way better.
Someone let you make a decision for $300 million.
I can't believe, like, trash. Like, this is garbage. I could have done it for $2 in a McDouble. Could fix this movie right now.
Love that shit. But yeah, it's over. This trilogy is over, and I am so very happy to be beyond any like Skywalker Star Wars content. I am happy to be out of the shadows of this.
I'm pretty relieved. That's if someone were to ask me how I would sum up my feelings about this last movie, is relieved. That's my review. 1 out of 10. No, relieved out of 10.
Relieved out of 10.
I'm just glad that it's done.
It's over. It gets to be over. The Sheev Palpatine saga of Star Wars is over.
all the fans just being assholes online.
Right.
For it'll be going for a while, but at least it's not like speculation and.
The Mandalorian is the future of Star Wars.
Yes.
And I'm interested to see where that as a show goes, and what else they do in movies. Like where they go next in movies. Please, God, let whatever movie that happens next be more than 100 years, either before or after whatever we just did. Please, give me a minimum 100 years, please. They'll be like, 10 years after these, they'll do 50 years where Rey's this old lady now. Like, fuck me. I need, please, let these characters live in their like graves. Like they were like heroes and stuff, and you brought them back and fucking stabbed them. I don't know.
And here's a tip for these people making these movies: please stop making characters kiss for no reason,
bro.
Like Aquaman. Aquaman did it.
Aquaman
did it. I legitimately thought they were brother and sister. I thought they were cousins, bro. I legitimately thought they were cousins.
When they're in Rome or whatever they are, I guess they have scenes where they're kind of like flirting, but I'm like,
they're making it Little Mermaid-esque, but
and I'm like,
but I legitimately thought they were. I thought they were cousins.
Like, nowhere in the last, especially she's engaged to this dude right here.
To your brother.
He ain't dead or nothing.
To
Jesus.
To your stepbrother.
He's right here. And you just, I was like, what in the hell? See, they
trifling.
Aquaman's is so egregious because two movies around Aquaman, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Bumblebee, both handle that situation.
All right. I didn't mean to open up a can of worms.
We're only at 101.
All right, I'll let you do your. Okay, you go ahead.
But like those two movies, I'm pretty sure I mentioned. Well, no, I didn't mention this because we didn't do podcasts before. But they just handled the situation where I was just like, yeah, we're just not gonna do that. Hit them with the handshake. It's like, whoa, bro, pause. You know what I'm saying? It was cool. You don't need that. And in this movie, in episode 9, they just like they hug and then they kiss. Like,
why?
What? That wasn't even like it is different. Like there's two like female characters later in the movie. Like once they've won, like get back to the thing that kiss, and I'm like, see, this makes sense. It's over now. Like, it was over then, realistically, and that was the last thing Kylo Ren got to do. But it was like, this is earned. You're celebrating realistically. This was just like, this awkward situation, let's make out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what to do right now.
I'm not feeling so good, Mr. Stark. Kiss me real quick. I feel better.
I guess I can get it like in the situation, but normal people don't do that. Normal people don't just kiss each other. They had some sort of relationship where they were inside each other's heads and stuff like that. Like how I talk about Obi-Wan and Anakin's relationship rolling. They don't have that's not them kissing is not what I got out of that. Especially when you drop Finn's whole line of Finn liked Rey in the first movie. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure he still liked her in the second movie because he when he wakes up, where's Rey? You know what I'm saying? He cared enough to ask.
Yeah.
I guess they were like, "Hey Rey, I got something I want to tell you. Now's not a good time." Neither will the rest of this movie be, realistically.
Neither for the rest of everybody's existence.
Rest of time, the universe will never know what that was. Was he gay? Did he love Rey? Was he force sensitive?
# Finn is gay. World? Finn and Poe. Hashtag Finn and Poe. It makes more sense, dude. I'm not out here trying to push no agendas, but like their chemistry was off the charts, bro.
off the chart.
They get along so well, and it's so fun to watch.
I wanted Finn and Rey to be together, but when I saw them, I'm like, damn, this is y'all are.
She's too much.
Right? You're right.
She's too much for him. But like Finn and Poe makes sense, man. Like he wears his jacket. He steals his hoodie. Like it happens, bro. Like
and I'm gonna say, and even though you didn't do the Finn I like you thing with Rey, if you had not let Rey kiss this man, you'd have had a trilogy of movies where your female protagonist didn't have a love interest, and it would have been fucking amazing.
Yeah.
You made her kiss this man, and I was like, you fucking ruined it. You dashed all these dreams, hopes, and shit. Get the man now. He gave his life for her. That's cool, but Zelda doesn't give Link none, and Link moves the heavens and the earth to rescue her. Okay? So, you can do it. It can be done. It's fine. You sacrificed yourself because you knew you was fucking up before. This don't this is pressure. I don't know. I would have took Ben's hand and stuff like that. They tried their best to build that relationship. I'm like, no, she stabbed this man. She fucking put her lightsaber through his ass. That ain't kissing. That ain't nobody you kissing. The last thing she did with this man was she stuck her lightsaber through him, then she put a lightsaber through space and time for him, and then she kissed him.
Star Wars likes random kissing. It happens. It's been in there since the original trilogy.
I mean,
brothers and sisters.
That was different. See, Luke and Leia's kiss in that movie was like the two chicks kiss at the end of this movie. That was that situation, almost. Kinda. I don't remember. They were like,
I'm about to say they weren't celebrating, bro. They were on the thing, and Solo was just like, "You like me, blah blah." She's like, "I'll kiss anybody, whatever I want," and then she just kisses Luke, and then later you're like, brother, sister, just like, because like the way they kiss is not like
that was not a.
You don't even know. Stop it. I don't even want to think about it because it's making me sick. This is not hentai. Like it ain't like Pornhub. This is. It's a family-friendly blockbuster. What are you doing?
This is Star Wars Alabama.
Oh, it's so gross.
Oh man! But anyway, that's all we got for this week.
Yeah.
On this episode of the Dumb Stuff We Like podcast, we didn't do DComs this week. We'll bring it back next week. I want to do a shorter, bring the new year with a shorter, more directed podcast about like this movie. We didn't get to do one last year like we wanted. Close out last year with it like we wanted, so we started with this, and then but next week be back the same, kicking, running on all cylinders. DComs will be back, news, whatever topic we decide, but that's all for this week.
Yeah, that's all I had.
Yep, I'm Brian.
I'm Chris.
And we're out.
See ya.